We are continuing with our demonstration by looking at the strings. In the previous demonstration, we focused on the character data type. We've seen how we can come up with a character data type and how we can identify the code of any character on our keyboard, and how we can convert alphabetical letter in uppercase to a lowercase and vice versa. So here we want to come up with a declaration for the string. We are going to create that and apply so many other operations on strings using even built-in functions. First of all, we define the strings or a string as an array of characters. So we were taught that there are two ways we handle strings in C++ using a C style type, which is the narrow terminated strings, and using the string data type, which is object-oriented version of manipulating strings in C++. Our discussion, we are starting with the narrow terminated string. So let's see if we want to keep a narrow terminated string, or maybe we want to define a variable that should be used to store your first name. You can have something like this. Your first names cannot exceed 20 characters. So you can have a container that should have maybe 20 characters or less, and that should be of type character. So we can have maybe this as first name, and we are taking that this first name cannot exceed 20 characters. So this is a declaration, and you can give the values, or maybe you can assign the name immediately if you want to. Here, maybe Ketiwe. So this is 20 characters and Ketiwe is less than 20 characters. So it will occupy the first 8 characters. The 9th character will be the narrow terminator, and the other characters will be unused for this example. So our Ketiwe will only occupy the first 9 characters, including the narrow character, which is at the end of the string. So this is a declaration, and yeah, we can display this. We can have a cout statement to display this. So let's just have maybe that one displayed as here. Yeah, we are done. So we have a statement that has declared a string data type, a string array of 20 characters, and we have assigned some characters in it, and we are displaying that character, so all those characters. So if we run this one, we'll be able to have our Ketiwe on the screen. So we have Ketiwe here. Yeah, so this is what we do. Make sure you understand each and everything that we are doing here. But because we said this is an array, we can even display elements on position 0 of our array, on position 1, etc. For example, if we have something like this and we put 0, this is going to display that which is on position 0 of our array, or it will give us something related to position 0. So if we run this one, we are going to have, maybe you cannot see, but I hope you are able to see, it's going to give us K, which is on position 0, because that's the first element of our array. And if we put probably 3 will display what? On position 3, which is the 4th element, and in this case should display T. Yeah. So it's an array, only that when we give it just a name, it displays everything. But you can use the indices to actually specify the position of an element you are interested in. So you can display on position 0, position 1, position whatsoever. But if we come up or we try to display something on position, for example, 12, on position 12, what are we going to have? These are 8 characters. and plus the null character is 9th. So from 10th going up to 20, we don't have the meaningful characters. So if we run on number, it's showing nothing. If we try maybe on number 15, there's no meaningful character there. So our C++ is showing nothing. But anything below, like on the position 8, that's probably the last one, it will show what is it showing? Okay, no, position 7. Position 8 is our terminator, but position 7 is our last character for this one, which will show E. So the point to take, this is array. You can actually handle them as arrays. You can handle them using indices, but in most cases, because we are interested in the whole string, we just use the name. So if you just use the name of the array, then you are going to have all the elements. Okay, here we have our gateway written as just a string like this one, but you can also have them initialized the same way we have been initializing what elements of the array, where each and every letter will be considered to be an array. So we can have this. Remember, each letter has to be in a single quote because it's a character. So each letter in a single quote. In a single quote. Sorry. Single quote. In a single quote. Yeah, so something like that. In single quote. Oh, I've jumped something. Yes. Okay. In a single quote. Yeah, something like that. So now you have them as characters, and we should remember, if you put them like this, then you need to add the last one, which is a null terminator. So you need to finish with the null character. So you can have that, and you can run your program. It will give you gateway. So it's the same as before, but now we have presented them in a format of an array initialization. Okay, that said, we need also to take note that we cannot have a declaration made like here, then assign later. You cannot have something like this and we say, okay, let's now gateway be here. You have declared and you want to assign the values. Let's try to learn. It will be a problem. But we've been assigning before after declaration, but that does not apply to now terminated strings. You cannot do that after declaration. It's giving us a problem. What is it saying? Compatible types in assignment of cost char to char. So you cannot assign afterwards. That's the point. You cannot assign afterwards. It's an array. So you can only do that during declaration. Otherwise, you need to do the copying, as we are going to see. But this is not possible, so you cannot. But otherwise, if you want, you can use the maybe cin statement to get information from the user. So you can have the information from the user. This would be acceptable. You get from the user, then you can display. So if you run this one, it's going to ask us to enter the name. So we can maybe just enter Kaula. Yeah, we can just have Kaula. Then it will be able to display Kaula. So whatever we enter is going to display that one, regardless of the length, as far as the length is less than 20. So we can have another one, maybe Toko Zile, and we enter, is able to have that. So you can only initialize here, or you can use cin to get that. You cannot assign afterwards, but you can copy from one container to another, from one string array to another. So we are going to show you how you can do the copying, but this is what is supposed to be done. Okay, yeah, this is important, and I think we have demonstrated something very important and something good enough for you. Now we want to do some manipulation. You can do lots of manipulations for your strings. The first manipulation that we want to see is for us to be able to count how many characters are there. And maybe before we go to that, yeah, but okay, let's go to that. We are going to count how many characters are there. There is an this what we call built-in function that we can use to do so. But before we use the built-in function, we want to create our own functionality. We should count how many characters are there. Maybe from what the user enters, we want to count how many characters are there. So how do we calculate or count how many characters are there? Of course, we need maybe a variable that should keep on counting, should keep the number of characters that have been in. So we just call it len. And we are going to initialize this one to 0, and we'll be incrementing len according to the number of characters so far counted. So the count, we can use while. In our case, you can use whatsoever. You can use the for loop. It's up to you, but I'm going to use while. And we want it to keep on looping while the character for the first name, while the character is not equal to the null terminator. It's not equal to null. While the character is not equal to null, then it should be looping starting from the first character going up. So it should be looping as far as it's not equal to null. And we'll need another integer just to keep track of our indices. We are starting from 0. So as far as it's not equal to that one, we want it to keep on incrementing this. It's going to be incrementing that, and of course it's going to be incrementing I as well. So we can even, okay, I think it would be better if we just use 1, but anyway, just to make it a little bit straightforward, let it be, because sometimes you can want to use it. Okay, but anyway, we can choose to, okay, yeah, I think, okay, let's just keep it as it is. Okay, so here we have while, and our first name, we are looking at the first name which is on index number I. So we are going to start from first name which is on index 0 and check it against the null character. If they are not the same, then we are going to increment that one to this. And we are going to be at the end of the looping, we are going to see how many characters are there, or the length of the characters from here. But if we want to even modify it a little bit more to make it even more easier to do, we can take off even the len and just use okay, no, I think we should still have the len, okay, for the simplicity, to avoid complicating matters. So this is our program. So it will be incrementing here. The first one will be 0, the second one will be 1, etc. will be incrementing this one. But how are we going to increment that? You can increment it using the statement down here, or you can increment it directly here. So it's up to you. But we are going to have it here so that at the end we should show you how you can remove the other one, which is not necessary. So here we can now have our open bracket, and we can have our close bracket. Yeah, okay. So this is a program. By the end of this loop, we should be able to have how many characters are there for the program, for the name that has been entered. So we are going to be incrementing here. It starting from 1, if it's then it is going to be 1, it will be 2, then going all the way up to the end. Then at the end here, we can just display the number of characters. So you say number of characters is, then you can have your number of characters. In our case, we are going to have it as len. So number of characters is equal to length. So that's what we want to achieve. So let's try to run this one, and we have maybe toko. We need to have something like 5 given out. That's 5. Then we need to have our ktway, and our ktway should give us 8, something like that. So we are able to implement the number of characters. We are able to count. We'll be starting from 0 and up until we get this one. Because at the end of talk, the next one is actually an alloc terminator. So the moment it sees that one, it actually stops everything. So here you can use only one variable. Here I was just trying not to avoid, to avoid it maybe confusing you, but you can use one variable. It's because at the very end of it all, the I will be equal to the len. So the length can as well just be I. So if we just display using I, and we have toko, should have some similar result. So with that, then we can take off len variable, and just use one variable to do the counting of how many characters are there. So this will be enough. And because it's just one statement, you can even make it you can compress it by removing the curly bracket. So you can just have while, then this one statement. This should work for us. So the number of characters that we have here, if we have ktway, then it will give us 8. So we have made our program a little bit easier to read and simple. Okay, thank you. So this is one example. But here we have implemented the length using our own way. But C++ provides some inbuilt functions that we can use to actually calculate the number of characters that are there for any given string. So we are going to use that function to achieve exactly that. So what we are going to do, we are going to remove everything here, and we can write that function directly here. It's called string len. So we use string len, and we specify the string that we want to calculate the number of characters. So the string len is going to count how many characters are there for first name. And for us to use this, we need to include hash including string.h. It's where we have these functionalities. So we need to include this one. Then we'll be able to use that. So we are now able to have the number of characters for whatever user enters here, just using this string len instead of implementing them by ourselves. So if we run and we have toko, we should have our 5 as before. And if we run and have ktway, we should have our 8. So we are able to have that without using loop whatsoever. But you are encouraged to appreciate how these are done by implementing these functions yourself. But when you are actually solving a real problem, you'll not be required to do that. There'll be already functions that can be used for that. So we are just trying to implement ourselves for us to appreciate what is happening as a process of learning. Okay, so that's how you can use a string len. You can also use a string to actually copy information from one string to another. For example, you may be required maybe to connect two strings together. For example, if we have first name and second name and we want to combine them, how do we do? Or if we want to maybe just read a portion of a string as a substring, how do we do? If we want to copy strings, how do we do? We are going to start by combining two strings, which is straightforward. If you have first name and surname and you want to put them together, how do we do that? So we can use the string concat. I'll just reduce these things maybe to 10. The first name 10, and we are going to have ktway. Let me take off the other ones. We are not using these ones. So string first one is ktway, and we're going to have for the surname let's just have panda. and we can combine these two into something. We need to have a container that is big enough. Of course, you can use one of these containers. If you want to use the first one, you can have this one declared as a container with a bigger volume, maybe 20, so that we can have the first and second name combined. But otherwise, we can have another container just to appreciate what is happening, another container which will be empty, and we can combine those other ones into this other container if we want to do so. So we can have another container which is empty, and we can just call it full name, and this full name, we give it a bigger one, so we can maybe give it 22 as the number of characters, or just 20 because we are not going far. 20, but for a start it has nothing, so it has nothing. So we can put things into that. We can have string concat, which we use string cat, and you specify what you want to concatenate. So the first, what you put here first will be the main one, and the another string that we put second will be joined to this one. So we want full name, we want first name to be joined to full name, so you can give first name here, so this will join. Maybe we can display at this point, so we can have cout. Maybe let's just display full name and see what we have. So at this point, if we display full name, it should give us Ketiwe. We have just joined the full name, which was empty, with the first name here. And if we join again, if we have this one and repeat this statement to join surname, so this statement is going to take the first name and put them in the full name, and this statement now is taking a surname and joining it to that, so that if we run this program now, we should have the full name here. But as you can see, there is no space, so it's up to you. You can probably have another join, or you can have it maybe done somewhere there. It's up to you, or maybe put some spaces here. It's up to you, but maybe just for the sake of practicing joins, we can have first name put there, and the second name we can join it with just space. Before we join the surname, we can just join first of all with a space, then we can join with a surname. So we'll have something like this. So Ketiwe Banda. So we have used, of course, many statements to do the joining, but you can combine all these statements in one, because you can nest the statements, so you can have all of them into one. So it will be one statement after another, after another, after another. It's up to you. You can join them. Because we are joining this, then after that we are joining this, after that we are joining this. So you can have one inside another, then that one will be joined with another, that one with another, then outwards. So try to join or make these statements one. Try to make these statements one, so that you can join Ketiwe Banda using one statement. But anyway, that's how we use the cat function for concatenation in C++. Remember always to include string.h for you to use these functions. So from the slides, you are told to come up with your own concatenation function, and you should be able to do exactly what we are doing here. Okay, let's have something else. We would like to copy content from one to another. We are going to take off this, and we are going just to have maybe name, we call this one name 1, and we are copying it to name 2. We want to copy content of name 1 to name 2, so name 2 has nothing. It's just a declaration of the container. We want to take the content of name 1 and put it in name 2. So that's what we call copying. How can we copy? Because the previous we were just joining, but we are not actually copying. The copying is done with joining. You put at the end, appending, but this one we want to take everything from here and put them in here, and we're going to see if we repeat the process what will happen. So to do the copying, you use string copy. We have string copy to do that, and you specify the destination. We want to copy into string 2. What are we copying? We are copying everything from string 1. and our string 1 is just Ketiwe, like this. So we are copying from the source, which is name1, where there is Ketiwe, and putting whatever we are copying into name2, which is our destination. And we can try to check the content of name2, because name2 is empty, but if the copying was successful, then name2 is supposed to show Ketiwe as well. So we run this program and it's indeed giving us Ketiwe. It means we are able to copy content from first name or name1 to name2. So that's how you do the naming. You are copying from here and putting them here. It accepts those two parameters. Okay. And we may also need to do the copying of just a portion, or what we call extracting a portion. Here we are not extracting a portion, we are taking everything, but sometimes we may just be interested in getting the first 3 letters from a big string. Maybe it's your registration number and we just want to get the first letters. Maybe BIS and BIT, for us to differentiate you or to classify you into a BIS class and BIT class, if we just have a list which is combining BIS and BIT. So because your registration number starts with BIT, we can just go through and be looking at BIT, extracting BIT, and see how many BITs are there, and extracting BIS, and see how many BISs are there from the list of all your registration numbers. So that will require us to just be extracting the first 3. So to do so, we use a string encopy. We are going to modify this one and use a string encopy to actually achieve the same. Here we can have string encopy. The order is the same. We are copying, or we are extracting from here into our destination. So you specify how many characters do you want. So if you are looking at the first ones, we can say 3 characters. So we are going to get the first 3 characters. And if we run this program now with string encopy, there is an N here, then we are going to have K display, the first 3 characters. It means we have copied the first 3 characters and put them into name2. Of course, we can also specify where the counting should start from. By default, it's starting from 0. So it's starting from the index 0. So even if we put plus 0 here, the outcome will be the same. Okay, we are starting from index 0. For the next one, we are starting from index 0. But you can specify. For example, if you want to just have T, then we need to know that K is on index 0. Then this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So we can say, let it start from index 3. And count 3 characters. So it will start from T, H, I. So if we run, we need to get T. So we are extracting just a portion. You can have 1 character extracted or a number of characters. The number of characters is specified by what you put here. So if you want to extract from there all the way up to the end to have Tiwe, then we need to put 5 here. If we put 5, we are going to have from index 3, which is the 4th character, all the way up to the end. So that will be Tiwe. That's how you use string copy, string cut, string len, and string encopy in C++. The last function that we are going to demonstrate is to show which string is probably greater than the other, or whether the strings are the same. So comparing 2 strings. This is very important because sometimes you can have an array of names and you want to sort these names in alphabetical order. So for you to do the sorting, you need to be checking which name is appearing first or appears first in alphabetical order. Then you do the swapping whatsoever. So we need to do the string compare, because we cannot use the normal greater than or less than symbol or the normal equals symbol that we've been using on the numbers. So we want to have 2 names here. We are going to have the first name. We are taking off this. We are going to have the first name as Banda, and the second name as Bande. So this one, if you look at the 2, you find out that the Banda appears first as compared to Bande, because here we have E, here we have A. So this one is considered to be greater than Banda. And we can have our if statement, because the compare is going to give us just a number. First of all, let's just have maybe string compare and appreciate what is actually being said here. String compare, we are taking two strings. We can take the first one, which is name1, and we are comparing it with name2. So we have name1 and name2. We want to see which one is greater than the other. And we can use this cout statement just to display this, but it gives us a number. It's as good as if we can declare something like this, result equals, because this one gives us a number. So whatever will be, then we maybe can have cout statement later instead of combining them there. So we can have our result displaying the result of the comparison that we are doing. So still compare name1 and name2. Which one is greater? Are they the same, etc.? So it's going to give us what? Name1 is smaller as compared to name2. So this one should give us something which is a negative. So it's giving us -1. So if we have Bandu, then it will give us a negative, but the number of negatives will be changing. It's not always that it will be giving us -1. Okay, it's changing with only 1. Okay, let me try to change Bandau. Yeah, so it will be okay. Fortunately, this one is just giving us -1, but it's not always -1. It can give you any negative number, but this one is just giving us -1, so we are good to go with that. But it can give you any negative number to indicate that the first one is less than the second one. If we are to have the first one greater than the second one, maybe we have this one as Bandi and this one as Bande. This one is greater than the first second one. Now this one should give us the positive number. So it's giving us +1. It can be any number. It can be +2, +3, whatsoever. So it's going to give us a positive number because the first one appears after the first one, the second one in the alphabetical order. So this one is greater than this name. So if we have that, if the first one is greater than the second one, we're going to get the a positive number. If they are the same, the first one is Bande, the second one is Bande, we want to compare the two. Is this one equal to this one? We are going to have something like this. So we are going to have 0. We can use these things. For example, if you are coming up with an application which will require users to enter username and password, so the username that somebody enters will be checked against the string that is already in the system. So you may want to check them, and how you check them if they are now terminated strings is to use them like this, to check if this one username is equal to the username in the system. And if it gives you 0, it means there's been a match. Then you can also check the passwords, the password entered by the user and the password in the system. If it gives you a 0, then there's a match. Then you can now have or allow that user to log in. So that's how you use the built-in functions in C++. Okay, thank you. So these are main things that we wanted you to take note of. The string data type, you have used them before. We are not going to demonstrate that one. You can just read the slides and probably try on your own, but they are very straightforward. We wanted to put much emphasis, I think, on the narrow terminated strings. So these should help you, and you will still have the lab guide just on the activities that you are supposed to do as students that I'm going to give you on the strings, but this just wanted to take you through what I was demonstrating or presenting in my slides. Okay, thank you, and see you in the next videos, probably in our next unit.